Good evening, Saint Lucia, and welcome to Newsmaker Live. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Tonight, it's a hot one, and we're fresh off this fashion extravaganza at the Audi complex showroom on the John Compton Highway at Shock. And a very successful show, one that has received rave reviews from everyone who has attended, and those who did not attend are finding out now that they missed a good one. I'm Clinton Reynolds, and joining me this evening is the creative, how should I refer to you?
You can say artistic director or creative director of the project, of the event.
He has told you, Vincent Mc Doom. He's back with us. And as we promised when we first spoke with him a few weeks ago, we said that after the show, we'd bring him back to get his views on how it went, you know, the execution, and also whether it lived up to his expectations. So welcome again, Vincent. It's nice to have you.
It's nice to have you back.
Now let's talk about the show. I mean, I was there. Fortunately, I got in eventually, and it was a fantastic showcase. What are your feelings about it?
I am very proud, actually. I am very happy with the turnout, you know. So finally, all of the negativity paid out. And I always said, you know, my body of work, you know, would, you know, shut people up, and you know, and it kind of did. So when I saw the turnout, I was very happy. But also, you know, the models lived up to my expectations. The designers lived up to my expectations. The young artist, which is Mecca, young Mecca, he lived up to my expectations. And also Lancelot, who was the DJ I was working with, lived up to my expectations. Other parts of the show was a little bit shaky, but then again, you know, you always have these, you know, when you work with shows.
But somebody like me would not see that. I mean, it's somebody who has that creative eye, somebody like you, who has put it together, who would see, you know, the little niggles here and there. But you must have a discerning eye to have noticed.
What I would normally say is somebody that's not fashion literate would not see it.
Okay, like
you know, yes, especially if you do not have that culture, you know, in Saint Lucia, and what you are accustomed to has nothing to do with what was shown last night. You know, because the level was far ahead of what we're used to seeing. You know, but you know, my expectations, you know, they were good. I really enjoyed it, you know. I always expect more because I'm like this, you know. I expect a lot, you know. I am very demanding as a person, and I know my limits and I know what I want, you know. And when I was called in to do this project, you know, I had already, you know, an idea of what I was looking for and where I wanted to take Saint Lucia and put Saint Lucia in the fashion industry, in the international arena. So for me, it was successful. I am very, very proud. You know, I am very happy with the results. I am excessively proud, you know, of the models. They were fabulous. They were fierce. They were flawless. I would say FFF. You know, that's how I say it. And, you know, I really like the work of the designers, and we only prove again, you know, that we have talent in Saint Lucia with the designers, and all they need is some direction.
Now, the Audi showroom was used for this showcase. Was that your choice to use the Audi showroom?
Actually, when I got to Saint Lucia and I spoke to the people from the tourist board, they had a couple of venues lined up, in fact. And one of the venues they had lined up was the Sandals Grand. But unfortunately, you guys had already the launching of the Jazz Festival at the Sandals Grand, and just a month before Saint Lucia's Haute Couture, some other person had some other so-called fashion event at this venue already. So I felt it was overused. So I felt it was not right for what it was. And then another venue was offered again, which was the Baywalk Mall, and we saw the conference room at the Baywalk Mall. And the conference room at the Baywalk Mall, we did not have the infrastructure for a fashion show, even if it's beautiful, but the infrastructure was not right for a fashion show. And then the third was the Audi building, and when I went to see the Audi building, I felt it was the right place. I knew that's where the heart of haute couture was. That I felt that's where it should happen. But not only that, every year, every season, in France, in New York, in Milan, in Paris. You know, there's a young designer showing, you know, which is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, and it's called the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, you know, to promote new designers. So I took that into consideration, and when I saw Audi, I felt Audi would have been a good sponsor. So when the tourist board told me that they liked the building as well, so I chose it with them, and I said this was the place that I wanted.
But there's a limitation. I mean, as far as and you know how difficult it was for me to get in, and some other people as well.
Which was appalling. You were not the only person.
250 seats for the show on that night, and I'm sure that there were hundreds of people who would love to experience what, you know, whoever was there experienced last night. Should we be looking to a different venue to accommodate people and to give people a feel of fashion in Saint Lucia and where fashion is, where it's heading?
First, to begin with, I am a little bit appalled with what happened with the press, because a lot of the members of the press were calling me because they had not gotten invitations for the event, and they were the ones who had used, you know, their media houses to publicize, you know, the event, and the event was not publicized. Even a week before the event, there was no publication about what was going on and how it was going on, and I was getting all of these calls, you know, and even when we looked, you know, about 10 days before, the venue was still not right, or when you look on the Jazz Festival site, it was designers to be announced, you know, when we knew who was going to show already. So, you know, I do not know why the tourist board was hesitant in everything they do, because they really are hesitant, even if they have the information. But it must go through so many things before they decide, you know, what is going to happen, you know. So I'm really sorry, and I'm with the press and the media, and I think, you know, that there was no consideration for you guys, because this is a national event, and the media, no matter what the media house is, they bring the information to the public, and they should have been invited, because at a large fashion shows, all of the media house is invited, not exclusivity given to one media house. I think that's something we have to get into again in St. Lucia, that you have to stop this exclusivity thing. The only exclusivity thing you can do is if it's a sports event, but a fashion show, everybody would like to share a fashion show. So I think, you know, I'm sorry about that, you know, but we finally got you in. Yeah. So that was quite interesting.
It worked out, and viewing some of the scenes from last night on the screen while we spoke, and you'll see some more as we continue to speak throughout the course of the evening. Now,
but to continue your question, you know, why the Audi building? I felt it was a pioneer show, and we didn't know how it would sit or come across with the public. So I felt it was necessary to keep it low-keyed and private, in fact. And, you know, because I was told that it was an event that could have become, you know, something that was annual.
So are you saying that it's past your expectations, your initial expectations of what it would have been?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I think all the negativity around it, and the negativity, which I don't think was negativity, quote unquote, it kind of created all of that build-up, you know, and I suppose that's why the tourist board was so afraid to put that show so much in advance, because I went to the opening on the field, you know, last week Friday, and I asked I went up to John Emmanuel when I heard they were speaking about all the various dates of what's going on at Haute Couture, at the Jazz Festival, and they did not mention the Haute Couture date, in fact. So I went up to him, you know, a week before, you know, the event, and I said, why aren't we talking? Because all of the press and all of the momentum was being built up by the models themselves and other people who were talking, the press, you know, were talking on their own. But the Jazz Festival, the tourist board had not leaked out much information itself. They had not had any publicity going on around it. So I asked him why, and he said, you know, I suppose it was deliberate on their part, because he told me, we are taking care of that, we're going to do it 2 or 3 days before, which I felt, you know, maybe all of the tickets were sold. I do not know, maybe I'm advancing, you know, but maybe the tickets were sold, or maybe they were very sure of what they were doing, you know, but I felt it was from the time I came back to St. Lucia the second time to work with the Haute Couture, the Saint Lucia Tourist Board did not organize for me any kind of press, or I did not meet the press through them. Everything I did, because I'm Vincent Mc Doom, people came to me on their own.
No,
but the tourist board didn't organize anything.
But don't you think it was because, as you suggested, that everything was planned already, what was organized, and if you have 250 seats, you cannot oversell. Because if all your tickets are already sold, then you cannot advertise that this show is on and you should buy tickets when there are no tickets to buy.
Well, I suppose you're right, but at the same time, a fashion show you cannot have everybody. At Yves Saint Laurent, you don't invite everybody. At Paco Rabanne, you don't invite everybody. At Vuitton, you don't invite everybody. But yet still we speak about it because we know it's going to happen. What it is momentum for the show, and momentum, wherever the momentum come from, it just helps. But what again is, it makes people want to go to the show, and people appreciate very much that they don't get invitations because they make an added effort to get it in the following year. So I felt it was better to keep it private and to keep it low-key, because we did not know what we were getting involved in. It was a pioneer event. So what was necessary to do was to keep it small, keep it beautiful, and keep it clean. For me, this was very important.
I'm speaking here with Vincent Mc Doom, the creative director of the show, which was yesterday at the Audi Showroom. We'll take a break right now on Newsmaker Live. When we come back, we'll speak with him about some of the challenges that he had in putting this showpiece together. Stay with us.